I'm only teasing. I'm teasing, but they're absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
And I guess that personal story comes out so strong in your brand. How did you find it engaging with the mainstream fashion world?
But like I said, I'm a firm believer in everything happening for a reason and the way you are kind of set up. So in all of my, apart from Barney's obviously because it's an American stockist, I actually worked at Selfridges. It was one of my first jobs that I had, just on the shop floor. You know, when you're at college, you want a bit extra money. Like, if I wanted those fresh Nikes, I had to be able to provide it for myself. So as most people do when they're in uni or in college, you take a part-time job. So I understood what Selfridges' ethos was they wanted to be the one-stop shop for every type of woman. But I thought, well, if I'm tall, I can't shop here, so it invalidates your ethos. So when I had my buyers meeting, that was literally the first thing I said. Like, I know your ethos is the one-stop shop for every kind of woman, and I was like, as a tall woman, I can't shop here. And then they were just like, whoa. And I was like, but I have a solution. That's how it started.
Yeah, and that solution, how did that, I mean, you kind of raced through your story, but I want to dig a little bit deeper about that moment when you thought, right, this is what I really want to do. I mean, you seem to jump from you wearing your older brother's clothes through to you being this most amazing global fashion designer. But I'm sure there was a lot of stuff in the middle that happened there. What was it about fashion? Was it really a practical solution to a personal problem? Or was it bigger than that?
It's just the hair.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking too much. Basically, I worked in fashion before I started TTYA. So, like I said earlier, I started my fashion journey on the shop floor, which led me to doing visual merchandising. So I used to do all the windows at Selfridges. And basically everything at ASOS, not so much anymore, but it used to get retouched so much. I used to spend so much money on retouching because a lot of the models were super tall, but none of the product used to fit. So like they used to retouch the sleeve lengths, they used to retouch the denim, the jeans length. So I used to tell everyone, always watch the videos when you shop on ASOS because you can't retouch the videos. So when I remember after I left ASOS, I took a break because I'd done the jump from college to uni to working lifestyle, and I got a job to intern. Well, actually, just before ASOS, I got a job to intern in Complex magazine in New York, and that basically taught me everything about editorial and shooting. So I'm working with talent, so we shot like Kanye West and Pharrell, like the cover of Complex. So again, I was able to understand the editorial side of fashion, and then working at ASOS, I was able to understand e-com. And when I worked at ASOS, it was called As Seen on Screen. I don't know if any of you guys remember that. This is like 12 years ago. And it was when it was like, oh, Cheryl Cole was wearing a sparkling dress, let's copy it and sell it for £8. And it was at that, when I got to ASOS, it was just at that turning point where they were becoming more, they were stocking more designer brands. And because I had my background from working in Selfridges, they wanted me to kind of come in and be able to curate it so that it was more lifestyle as to per se of just being this, oh, we're just going to rip off dresses that we've seen on Celebrity. So that's where I was able to understand e-com. So when I left, I was like, well, the models are just as tall as me. I've been able to meet all these amazing people at ASOS. So like all my crew that I met at ASOS helped me shoot my first lookbook. So all the models that I worked with, the photographers, the retouchers. So it was just like, I basically felt like up until that point, everything was happening, had aligned, so that I had kind of essentially curated my team. So those are the people that now helped me when I launched my own brand. So a model called Jamie Guns, who was like ASOS's biggest selling model at the time, who we became friends with because we've worked together every single day for 2.5 years. She was the first model for my campaign, and working at ASOS again, that gave me equipped me with the skills to be able to understand how the e-commerce world worked. So when I left ASOS, then I started consulting for other brands because that was at the turning point when everyone was starting to switch to e-com. So I used to do stuff for Amazon, I used to do bits and bobs, and then I went to Australia actually for 4 months randomly because there's this amazing Australian brand that I was obsessed with called Stable who wanted to go onto e-com and they didn't know how to do it, so they were just literally poaching ASOS people as they do. And I went there to start that, and that's when I had the time to kind of think about, I can't travel lightly, I can't always be wearing double XL or wearing super men's 36 or spending all of this money on tailoring stuff. And I was just like, why don't I just have like a basic wardrobe, essentials, and that's where the idea for TTYA came up. And it was just all jersey to begin with, and then it now elevated into being more than just jersey and going into evening wear. As the brand grew, I needed to, like, people was like, I need prom dress, I need this, I need tailoring. And I was like, okay, like trying to like figure it out, but it's always, the essence of it has always been about like what I felt I needed as a tall woman and what I felt was missing on the high street.
Yeah, that's such a fascinating story. And
Sorry,
I'm wondering, is there a problem with the microphone?
Okay, use this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mic check, 1, 2.
Oh. So I was interested when you said there in your presentation about mentoring, and this is something that, you know, as women we're often told we need. You need to get a mentor. But you said that you didn't have one.
No.
And I'm wondering, well, first of all, why? Do you think it would have helped you? Do you think having a mentor is really important? And are you now, I imagine that loads of young women want you to be their mentor now. And so can maybe you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I never had a mentor. If I could probably rewind it a little bit, I definitely would have had someone that was pioneering in this industry, just to kind of guide me through, similar to what we said earlier, in that knowing that you make so much mistakes, but part of actually making your mistakes is learning from those mistakes as well. And I was able to kind of, I think I was a bit lucky in a sense that I didn't, because I came from the business that I now went into, I still had certain basic equipped skills. So I understood how something should look on e-com, how to shoot it, the lighting, the product description, sizing. Like, I understood how that needed to be because I had worked in the industry. So I was lucky enough to have been able to have the back end knowledge, if that makes sense. But I do definitely feel like it would have been great to just maybe, and if I'm going to be honest with you, at a senior level at ASOS at that time, it was all men. So it wasn't very many women that were at a senior level within, and I feel like that's also a big issue within fashion and within creative. Like, it tends to be like all the creative roles are like filled with women, and then when you start to get to like exec level, it's literally all men. And even when I went to Long Tall Sally, I literally walk into a boardroom full of short men talking about tallness and shit. It just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. It just didn't add up, you know? But that's the reality of where things were or are, you know? So I definitely feel like if I could have rewound it, it would have been amazing to have.
Yeah.
And I did, I guess, get that when I met Corinne Franklin. We went for coffee, and I emailed her randomly, and she was just like, just call me. She like gave me her house line number, and I was just like, who still sends their landline number?
Who still has a
But
landline?
also I was just like, oh my god, I've got a house number, this is so dope. But I like called her and I was just talking to her about the frustrations, and obviously she's a massive advocate for, you know, diversity, inclusivity. She's been pioneering it for years. So when I met her, it kind of switched it around, and it made me feel like, okay, my role and my voice is to push and to be there for the excluded girl, because for so long we've always kind of been left with the scraps, or the bigger stores would do it just to say that they had their finger in every pie, but not necessarily do it well. So I always felt like my strong point, even if it wasn't just talking about tall women's clothing, it's about, if we're really going to have this inclusivity conversation, then let's do it correctly, and let's cater for every type of woman.
Yeah. And one question about social media, because I imagine, well, I mean, your clothes are just so lush and so colorful, and I'm sure that social media has played a huge role in your brand growing and expanding. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of that?
Yeah. I'm a very visionary person. Like, I love mood boards, I love images, I love researching. I'm obsessed with Pinterest, obsessed with it. And I feel like that's probably why I've gravitated more towards Instagram as to any other platform, just because visually I find it works best for me. So when Instagram actually brought on Instagram Shop, it was amazing for me, because then it was difficult because I wish they had Instagram Shop for dummies, because it was a lot of late nights like YouTubing, other people YouTubing about Instagram Shop, and that's how I learned how to do it. But Instagram's played a massive role in my business, because a lot of the girls who have worn my clothes, or the product that's been on TV, like Wendy, I don't know if anyone knows who Wendy Williams is in the US, she wore my brand a lot. She always used to talk about like, she had her YouTube channel, so after every show, she does a YouTube channel about what she's been wearing, and she always used to rant about how she loved my brand because she was so tall. So what that did now is like, it would engage people to have to search for me, and the good thing about Instagram is it's all imagery led, so I could post all the product pictures and all the lookbooks and constant content, and even with the models who wear the clothes, it always kind of came back to like it being about the brand, as to say. And also because I'm tall, it's almost like I didn't really want to become the face of my brand. At the beginning, I kind of hid away from like being the face of it, because I kind of thought it was like, let me just use models and book everyone and like do it the standard way that most online retailers do. And then I was just like, hold on, that's not really cost effective. If I'm 5 foot, I can actually like wear my own, and that's where my hashtag I wear my own garms comes from. Because it's like, I love Wiley, obviously, and I grew up on grime music, but it was about like, okay, well I can't say I wear my own garments, so I used to be like, hashtag I wear my own garms, and that's kind of how that started.
Brilliant. I could just chat to you forever and ever. But I am aware that we've got Jamal sitting there. And,
I've got the pressure of
thank you so much. Let's hear it for So this is when we get to stretch out a little bit, because basically it's just me and Jamal going to have a chat now, which is like my dream come true. And I want to go all the way back to the beginning, Jamal. Tell us what the years before you started SBTV, what were they like for you?
So I started it when I was 15, and I think the main reason for starting it was the artist that I wanted to film wasn't being represented on mainstream media. So I started uploading onto YouTube and putting it on YouTube and trying to find a load of artists that basically wasn't famous, and then that's what allowed me to then open the doors for artists myself. But similar, I didn't want to be in the public eye as much. I think like when people started to know who I was, I really was a fan of Banksy, like making videos but not knowing who I was. And then I did the Google Chrome advert, which then sort of like sprung me into the limelight, and then everyone wanted to know a little bit more about me.
So 15 years old, you're growing up, passionate about music, and how did you kind of get into technology? Because I guess none of this would have been possible in my day, because we didn't have computers growing up. But you know, what was your first kind of introduction to technology?
I think it was YouTube and like Windows. I had a Windows and PC, but I used to have mini DV tapes, and that was what I used to upload onto YouTube. I didn't really know anything about tech. My mum didn't know anything. It was a lot of like Googling how to learn, and I think in the early days I wanted to work for BBC, I wanted to work for like these big TV corporations, but I didn't know how to actually get my foot in the door. But then like years later down the line, BBC actually got in touch with me and gave me a job, which was off the back of my YouTube channel, and they said come in and produce a series for us. So like that was like how it was crazy, because I remember my mum used to take my camera around me, but she didn't realise that like I could actually get a job in BBC.
I bet she's kind of proud now, isn't she?
Well, yeah, she's proud now, but those days it wasn't funny.
So 15, you're there, you're teaching yourself how to use a computer and sort of upload all this stuff and everything. And what was the breakthrough moment for you? When did you think, oh, I'm putting all this stuff up here and people are actually watching?
I think, so I was working in Top Man for 5 years, and again, my parents, I wanted to leave Top Man to focus on videos because I was working at Top Man. This was like years on later down the line. I was going to college, and I figured out if I could make Top Man, if I could leave Top Man, then I can get SBTV like proper going. And I think I came home with my check, and my mum was like, "This is not a steady income. You're staying in Top Man." So I basically worked really hard to match my YouTube checks and my Top Man checks. And I think one day I got it to like, I think it was like 500 quid. And then I went home and I was like, look, I've got it. And then she allowed me to sort of step back a little bit from Top Man and focus on SBTV. So I think that was definitely a moment, a career-defining moment when I was able to like change it into actual business and make money off YouTube.
Wow. And like, who would have thought, like back in the day, that like you could actually turn that into a job?
Yeah. I think I think in the early days I got denied 3 times for my YouTube partnership, but I still kept on going back. I kept on emailing them and saying, why not, why can't I, this is something new, original music. I think in the early days it was like Practice Hours, Whiskey Rose, there was a lot of DVDs that were film and grime artists, but there wasn't anything original on YouTube. And all the stuff that was on YouTube was ripped from the DVDs. So I was like, alright, there's a gap in the market. And then the 3rd time he was able to give it to me as a partnership.
Yeah. Now you said that you wanted to be behind the scenes, but SB is actually your initials.
Yeah.
Weren't they? So
Yeah.
you kind of named your TV channel after yourself.
No, well, yeah. It was Smoky Bars because I was an MC, but that was like a name I want to get rid of. Only people that have been there like however many years will know that, but SB stands for self-belief. Original Smoky Bars.
I like that, repurposing.
Yeah, but yeah, my middle name is Sean Brendan. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, there you go. I'm just teasing anyway, but so how were you finding the new content? Because so much of your channel is based on what is new, what is up and coming. You know, that's a lot of work. Was it just you? How were you sourcing all of this?
So at the beginning it was me, and it was just my local mates, and then I used to travel to other areas. So I'm from West London, so I used to go to North, East, South. I used to sneak into clubs to try and get artists. I used to wait outside like the Mayfair Hotel. Like, I remember Kelly Rowland was there, so I found out she was there. I was literally like waiting outside to speak to a guy called Darren Dixon, and like begging him to get an interview, and it was like just a lot of begging. And after I had the video, I then sent that to other artists. I was like, look, Kelly Rowland did it, why can't you do it? And it was like, there was a lot of that.
That is self-belief TV.
Yeah, self-belief, and that's what I had. I think like when I was younger, I had a lot of like balls, like just I didn't care, I just wanted to film. I always have a camera. I've got my camera in my bag now. Like, I just always got it on me, and I think that's something that people used to recognise a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that fearlessness, going back, that fearlessness, I think is something that all 3 of you absolutely have. So let's talk a little bit about digital advertising and how that has changed over, you know, the past kind of decade. Because now we hear YouTube and social media and stuff, everybody kind of wanting to make money from that, but you've always retained your authenticity, which is, you know, in a world that is kind of built on things that are always new and shiny and presenting a particular image. How do you preserve that?
I think in the early days, it was how I used to advertise my videos. I just used to use the resource as much. So when Irene was talking about coming here and using the Wi-Fi and the like free printers and stuff like that, in school I used the printers and ink. So I was able to print out loads of SBTV flyers and literally go to Acton High Street and give them out. That was like one of my early days of advertising. Then another time I found the computer in my school that took over every single computer in the school and changed it to SBTV homepage. Really got kicked out for that, but loads of people knew the channel off the back of that. And then I remember being in like year 10 or year 9, And the older kids used to be like, oh, like, did you hear about this SBTV thing? Like, changed all the computers in the school, and I was like known for that. And then when my parents said, if you do that again, we're getting in serious trouble, I then went, Westfield opens, and then I changed every Apple computer to SBTV on YouTube. And then I started just doing that, just thinking of ways how I could get the channel out there. And then after that, I was able to employ like a PR to help the videos that I wanted to make. And then it was a lot of like targeted PR after that, instead of just doing it rogue. But in the early days, that really did help me like get my name out there, especially in my area.
Yeah, and I guess that's where the roots and the authenticity comes from. I mean, that is real entrepreneurial spirit. Like,
And I think
that is admirable.
I think what allowed me to then build it outside of just the local scene is, in terms of authenticity and credibility, I think I was very underground, and I was just focused on a lot of grime MCs and rappers, and I loved it. That was what I wanted to do. But again, I was trying to think how I could take it to the next level, and I really wanted to film singers. My mum's a singer. She was like, why did you put singers on the channel? I'm like, I don't think putting you on the channel is right at this moment.
Was you look on X Factor?
Yeah, back in the day. But I'm glad people don't know that, because it's not on the channel. But yeah, she came fourth like in one of the years, but I never thought I could ever put her on SB. Maybe now, because it is grown, but I remember the first video I did with a singer was like Maverick Sabre and Ed Sheeran. And I remember sitting down with Ed in the kitchen being like, oh, I'm not sure if this video's gonna go well, you're gonna get loads of dislikes, I'm gonna get like no views. But the thing that related a lot was that he was MCing, rapping, singing, he was very talented. So I realised I could scale up as long as it was good music. So it doesn't matter if it was gravel rap or acoustic or pop, it's just got to be good music, and then that helps me.
Yeah. And talk us through a little bit of your journey then, because that was a breakthrough moment. When you're realizing you can make money from it, and you're building your brand. What was the moment when you just thought, whoa, like this is actually everything that I've been working so hard, it's here now?
There's been so many I call it moments. I think like the MBE was definitely an moment, like when I got that, and it just, if anything, it just like legitimised what I was doing a little bit more. I knew what I was doing, I was quite confident with what I was doing, but I wasn't like, sometimes even when I go into places I get a bit like whoa, and I'm just a bit nervous, but having an MBE in certain places was opened up quite a few doors. And I think also sort of a more recent project that I've been working on for the past year and a half was like setting up youth centres. So like I was supposed to do one youth club in my area, and when I went back to Acton, I ended up doing 4, and able to use my partnerships in Google and the Welcome Trust to help me fund the youth centres. I've reopened 4 youth centres in Acton, and that, when I go there and I've engaged with like 150 kids from my area, I was like, whoa, like SBTV over how many years I've been doing it has equaled me into doing this. And I took a bit of a step back from SB to focus on more community work, which has been very, I've learned a lot. Like I'm even taking a child trauma course in a few weeks. I want to learn a lot more about the area and how to deal with stuff that happens. So yeah, I think that's like definitely one of my most recent things that I've done that has helped me, not helped me, but SB has helped me create that sort of opportunity.
Yeah. You've done a lot of work to help break down stigma around mental health and anxiety and things like that. Could you tell us a little bit more about that as well?
Yeah, I think one of the early things, even like coming to present, I'm like getting clammy hands thinking about me presenting. That's why I like to have a conversation, and it's one of the things that I always try and get over. But I think what started me working a little bit more around mental health was, unfortunately, 2 people on the estate that I grew up on killed themselves within a short period of time, and all the boys on the estate were like, we don't know what's like, how, why is it happening? And I just thought I had like a responsibility to have a conversation about it and get some like tough like guys to talk about their feelings a little bit more. And I felt like I had a platform to be able to do that. And it just happened because of that. I didn't have any like any other reason to do it except for it affected people that was close to me. And yeah, that's the reason why I do it. And if I can do it a little bit more, but it's got to be in obviously a way that's sort of just credible, not just doing it for the sake of doing it. Yeah.
Well, it seems like everything you've done has been based on, you know, those deep roots of authenticity. So that carries you through life.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd like to ask you a question about, because me being the night Czar and, you know, helping London to thrive at night, do you think that there's, you know, basically, can we work together?
100%.
Basically, I'll just blurt it out. I won't be like,
You should come to our event. Me and Irene got an event on Sunday.
Really?
We pulled out of the bag last minute. So it's funny how she was on their panel as well. Like everything happens for a reason. We've got a fashion week. Yeah, so feel free to come to that.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. That would be brilliant.
No
Okay.
I've also got one of the oomph moments that happened that I always play was the Google Chrome adverts.
Oh yeah. Can we
So
have a look?
Play that. It's like an old school video. If it plays. No? Maybe not. But yeah.
It's worth waiting for.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We're gonna be taking questions from the audience next, so you might want to mull over any questions you have for all of our panelists.